What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back, welcome back. Today, I wanted to try looking at writing zlib in Zig. And the reason for that is I want to learn both things. It feels like zlib is used in a lot of software, or at the very least, like the deflate algorithm behind zlib is used in a lot of stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I understand it, because I don't really know how lossless compression really works. Like, it's pretty clear that they take some thing of form of data and they say I can take this and transform it into something else, obviously, but I don't really know what that something else is. So I would kind of like to look at that. And then I've also been kind of itching to try some Zig recently, where I think Zig feels like it probably fills this niche of C is this language that's very elegant and simple. Elegant is maybe, people would argue that on that, but at the very least simple, right? When you're writing C, you kind of feel like you understand everything that's going on, but it's kind of missing a lot of niceties that make it fun to work with, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but Zig seems like it kind of feels like a more natural evolution of C than C++ does, and so I just wanted to try it and see how it feels. Yeah. So I've done a little bit of reading here on zlib, and it looks like they use this deflate algorithm that uses this deduplication of strings, as well as this huffman coding thing. So if you let's see, where was I got into this RFC when I was looking at this earlier. Here, RFC 1951, and I kind of started reading this. I haven't read the whole thing, but I got to the point where they started talking about compressed block formats. So they say they use these Huffman trees, and so I kind of figure before we get into everything, at the very least, I should be able to implement something Huffman coding related. Let's break this up into steps. So idea, as far as I understand it, is that the Huffman coding kind of takes your your character frequencies and tries to represent them in a way where things that are accessed most frequently require the least amount of space. And I think if I understand this correctly, they do something they represent this as a binary tree. So you have your root node here, and you have two options, right? You can go left or right, and left might be another, you might have another node, or you might have a character here. So say I had a string of A's and B's, where I have maybe A, B, and C probably makes most sense. So I have A, and then B, B, C, C, right? So in this string of characters, A's are going to be most frequent. So these guys end up at the top level, and then here they put B's and C's down here. So the idea is that if you were to encode the branches that you take in this tree to get to each letter, you could store an A as a single number, a 0, and a B or C you would have to compress as 1, 0 or 1, 1. I think that's the basic idea. So I think what I want to try is implementing generation of these Huffman trees, as well as character lookup through them. My understanding is very rudimentary at the moment, so there's a good chance that I'm missing something here, but we'll find out as we go. Okay, so I have done some work. I've got my Zig dependencies, and I've set up Zig language server in my Vim config. I've never written any Zig before, but I have done some reading on the language over the past day or so. It looks pretty fucking cool. So I know enough to say that I should be able to start a project with Zig init executable. And in here, they have this build script that comes out that lets you customize the build, whatever. I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then they give me a little Zig main. Zig's definitely simpler, but its intrinsically kind of slow, but that shouldn't get involved too. Interesting. Okay, good to know. And I think I should be able to like do zig build to run the build script, and that should do something. And I should be able to do zig build run, I think, to run the thing that was built. All your code base belong to us, so I can go into like main, and they have like this like debug print. Sure. Zig, are you using 0.11? I don't know. Zig version, zig dash v, no dash v, zig version. Here we go. 0.11. I guess I am. Is there something interesting in 0.11 that I should know about? Like, is it like late? Are there new features? I started yesterday. I googled zig, and that's all I know. So there is. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. Is there something exciting about 0.11? Okay, so what are they doing in this hello world that they generated? So they have this like debug print, sure, which I guess goes to standard error. So if I zig build run and discard everything from standard out, I get all our code bases belong to us. But if I discard standard error, I get their other string. So they say, hey, this is like some debug code printed to standard error, and they also have some stuff written to standard out. So they get this like writer thing, which looks like probably some form of interface, probably. Then they create like a buffered writer around it. Cool. So they have to flush the writer at the end, and they print to it. Try keyword. I think I've been reading about. I think if I remember correctly, function syntax here is something like do thing. This is like the name of the function. I probably don't need to make this public. And I need to specify the return type here. So if I wanted to do like nothing, I would return void. Oh god, that auto formatting is going to be so fucking annoying. Can I turn that off? That's probably being done by the language server, right? Why is that happening? Auto format neovim. That's going to be fucking annoying. I don't want it. ZLS modifying my code. Gone, Reddit's bitching. I cannot emphasize how much I do not want this to happen. Enable autofix option that enables disables this, but leaving unused variables a compiler. I don't care if it's a compiler error. Okay, ZLS JSON enable autofix false. So if I do like ZLS help, ZLS show config path. So if I like edit this, can I do something like surely there's something that documents this on their GitHub. Schema? So at the top level, there is an object where I should be able to set enable autofix to default false. So if this is default false, why is it happening? Oh god. Sorry, this is so unrelated to anything interesting. But I need to get this out of the way. Because that's gonna be fucking annoying. So did that do it? No. So it must be like it's not autofix, it's zig format. Okay, is that in here? Zig format ZLS. Remove format on save as the default. Oh, is this unrelated to the language server? If I say like LSP stop. Oh. Unrelated to the language server. Okay, so it's like these guys are saying it's in like the zig format thing. So how do I edit this? Zim zig.vim autoload zig format vim. Is there like some option? Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. Can I zig? Help zig? How do I find like vim zig auto format? Like how do I turn this shit off? Here we go. Configuration. Oh, thank God. Okay. Let G zig. Can I say this? Oh, there it is. Thank God. Holy. That was going to piss me off so much. Okay. There we go. Okay. Whew. Okay. We're happy. So what was I trying to say? I was trying to say, like, what is, like, a zig function? So if I understand correctly, there's this, like, function syntax where I can create a function, it returns nothing, and here I should be able to say, do something like, print a string, right? So here, let's say all I do is call do thing. Fuck the tests for now. And I think, do I need a semicolon? Zig build. What is the exclamation mark in front of void? I'll get there. I'm going to get there in a second. So this is like a function that does just only side effects, right? But say I wanted to use standard out. So they were doing something like stood IO. I already forgot. Fuck. Can we go back? They had stood out file, which gives me a writer. And if I want to write to the writer, I can do like stood out file. And then I think I write print hello or something like this. I think. So here I say do thing. And I write to the file. I fucked up because this is not the right word. And so now it's saying member function expected 2 arguments, found 1. Oh, because I need to add like the format data. So here I say, here's like an anonymous structure or an anonymous tuple that has no elements, I think is what I'm saying here. And now he's saying, hey, you're ignoring an error. So I'm like, okay, if I want to deal with the error, I think that there's a way to say like, catch error and do nothing with it. I think. Can I do that? We'll see. He doesn't like that because it's an unused capture. So can I say like, hey, I don't give a fuck about it? No. Omit it instead. How do I like just straight up ignore it? How do I... Is there really no way? Zig ignore error. Oh, you just don't put the cat. You just write this. Catch with this. Okay. So here I can say, hey, I know that like writing to a file can fail, but I'm going to fucking ignore that. But say I wanted to like propagate that to the caller, right? This thing can fail, but I don't really want to deal with it at this point. Then they say that there's like this like try keyword that's essentially the equivalent of saying like catch error, return error. And so I think if I do this now, it's going to say like, hey, what the fuck? Error is not a void type. And so you put this exclamation mark here to say like, hey, this thing is going to return void on the success path, but on the error, there is an error path that it could return from. And so now this should work. Error is ignored on this guy. So now I have to say try as well here. Cool. And so now everybody's happy. And if I wanted to then say, fuck this, I'm going to like force the error path. Can I just say like return? I think you have to like define an error. So you say like what? Const thing error is equal to an error that has like a type of like I could not work. And then I think that I should be able to just like hard return this. And then I think that will... Yeah, so I got the I could not work error, and I get a nice little backtrace for it, where each guy who calls try looks like he's like tacking on a bit of like a call trace to him, which is pretty sick. Pretty sick. So that's like the exclamation mark thing. And I guess we were kind of at some point where we're like, trying Zig at all is probably what we're doing right now. Okay. So let's say that we wanted to like create some sort of like Huffman table thing. Let's start by like create like a Huffman table abstraction. I don't really know what it is yet, but we'll figure it out. So I think if I understand correctly, types in Zig are values. So if I understand correctly, this like const thing error equals error I could not work. He's kind of saying, hey, I'm creating a new type, but instead of having like a special word for it where we're doing like type, like in C++ you would say like using x is equal to like error something, right? Like there's no like special syntax for types. We're just defining a constant that happens to be a type. If I understand correctly. So I think that if we wanted to make a structure that was like a Huffman table, we would do something like const Huffman table is equal to like a struct. Maybe? And then we should be able to like create this guy. So if I understand correctly, I think in the Zig standard library, I've seen this like this pattern of using like an init function. Where do I find their standard library docs? Here we go. So if I just like look at like any of these guys, they have like function init seems to be the pattern. So they create like a struct here who has like fields and an initializer. Okay. So I should be able to do something like pub function init who returns self, where I think I read there somewhere that they use this like compiler built-in. I think that at sign means compiler built-in. I actually don't know that either. But it looks like they do something like this. And so then I should be able to just say return an anonymous struct. Or maybe I have to write the word struct there. They wrote the word self like this, but I think that I could probably just do this. I guess we'll find out. So we can make like a Huffman table is equal to Huffman table init. There's an interesting thing. You can create file and put fields inside after importing the file. Behave like a struct. Oh yeah, I was seeing that as well in the standard library. I was looking at ring buffer source, and I was like, what the fuck? This like ring buffer source, they just have like struct fields just like at the top level. And like it turns out that on import, I think files just are structs by default, was what I read somewhere. Don't use self equals at this, it's meant for generic type functions. But I don't have a name. Oh, can I just write Huffman table here? Like this? Is that something that I'm allowed to do? I guess we'll find out. Then this guy, he needs to return like this. Expected semicolon here. And expected semicolon here. Sure. Unused local variable, so I have to say fuck you. Or like this, I guess. Okay, and expected type Huffman table found void. So do I have to do like anonymous struct like this? Dot. Put a dot in front of it. There we go. Okay, so that compiles. And then here, if I were to say like stud io debug, where was like that debug? Stick format debug? Why is it not auto-completing? Probably because I'm just writing the fucking wrong words. io debug. Stood debug print. Thank you. Then here I could say like creating Huffman table. And then we should see that, except he's saying that he probably wants format arguments as well, probably. Yeah, okay. And I guess this is a language where I put new lines at the end of my strings. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we're doing something. We've created a completely useless structure. And probably my Huffman table is going to have some sort of data in it. So this might be like the Rust brainworm infecting my brain a little bit, but I think probably the way I would do this is I would have like nodes as a vector of node, which is not the syntax in this language. Probably it's like, I think I saw that their vector type is array list. So probably I wanted like this would be stood array list node, which means I probably need like a node type, right? Like something like this. And then I guess these guys he needs to be a var. No. Use var or const to declare variable. What am I fucking doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong here? Can I just like hit source here? How do I get like variables? God, I'm so fucking lost. So yeah, they do just put like the word here and then a colon. So why don't they like this? What if I were to write like U8 here? Ah, it's because I'm supposed to put a comma, not a semicolon. Okay, array list stood array list node. Right? Okay. Yeah. And then probably this won't compile anymore, I would guess, because this like return empty thing, I would guess doesn't populate this nodes unless it knows to put like default constructed in some way. Yeah. Nice. So he's saying, hey, you need to write nodes here. So probably I have to do like create a new array list. And maybe I have to init this thing with some form of allocator, if I remember correctly, because this is like a variable thing. But I guess my Huffman tree, does it have like a capped size? I don't know yet. So yeah, let's just say that we take in some allocator and we construct it like this. And I guess it's like dot nodes equals. Is that the syntax? Hell yeah. Okay. So now we have like an alloc. And what do function parameters look like? They're key colon value. And so allocator here comes in and he says that I need to be a stood mem allocator. Is mem allocator an interface or is it a hard type? Let's see. Mem allocator. Standard memory allocation interface. Okay, so we're saying, hey, we take in some allocator. And then we construct this nodes thing with that allocator. And I guess this language doesn't have any like form of like automatic destruction. So probably if I run this right now, it will allocate something and never free it. So probably if I run like Valgrind on this, it'll tell me that I'm doing something wrong. Or like in C, I would probably run like I think there's like a debug flag that you can pass to the compiler to be like, hey, can you tell me if I forgot to free anything? Is there anything like that in Zig? Zig, check for memory leak. Is there like Zig memory leak sanitizer? Like, is there some sort of like compiler flag using deferred defeat memory leaks? I don't care about using defer. I know that I'm supposed to use the defer keyword. I'm trying to say like, how do I check if I fucking forgot? Oh, here, they're just using Valgrind. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll use fucking Valgrind. So probably, if I use Valgrind here, I should see. Well, first of all, I need to use an allocator. So I think that I have to say like var alloc. Const alloc, var alloc, probably, is equal to stood mem, and then I have to like pick my allocator, if I remember correctly. So where's there like just normal fucking allocator? Heap allocator? You can use stood heap general purpose allocator. Ah, stood heap. Of course it's not in mem. It's in heap because I'm using the heap. Oh, it detects memory leaks automatically in debug mode. Oh, that's kind of sick. Okay, I like that. So if I use the general purpose allocator, how do I make this guy? Stood heap general purpose allocator. So he's a type, and I call him with self, and he returns an allocator. But how do I construct him? Oh, I probably just feed him a config? Maybe? Zig general purpose allocator example. I'm so fucking lost. Okay, so page allocator. Here. Yeah, okay. So he does just, you do just have to construct him with the config. Oh, he's calling him like a function. Am I? So general purpose allocator. Let's look at just the code here. Okay, so general purpose allocator is a function that takes in a config, and that function will return a struct, probably depending on the config, the struct type actually changes or something? Is that why it's done this way? Empty buckets. Yeah. So they're doing some like wacky shit here where they're saying like, hey, if my config says that I want to retain my metadata, then this type has to be of type buckets. But if my config doesn't have that, then I can make the type void and actually make the struct size different. That's fucked. So the config is actually compile time. Oh, that's so cool. What a fun language. So you feed in a struct that has to be resolvable at compile time. So I can make compile time decisions on the layout of my allocator based off the fields of the config. That's so fucking cool. Oh, that's so sick. That's so cool. So that's why like they don't have like, I think I read somewhere that they don't have like macro system. There's no preprocessor stage, and they just like defeat the preprocessor by just treating type generation as like a thing that you can. That's so sick. There's like a thing you can do like within the language. That's so cool. Okay. So I'm calling a function general stood heap general purpose allocator, and I'm saying, hey, just use your fucking defaults, which is kind of confusing to me. I don't really understand what is happening here. Like, does the config type, does he, oh, he declares default values. So anything with a default will just be automatically populated with the default, and then I have to override those. And so, okay, that's so sick. Okay. We're getting somewhere. So, somebody said that if I run this, he's going to say, this maybe has to be const-alloc? Is that right? Expected mem allocator found type. How did they use this in the example that I was looking at? Var is equal to, oh, they had like a little extra. Currently, alloc is a type. And so here I put in these squiggly braces to say, now please construct the type with the default values. Mr. Moogame, thanks for the prime. Appreciate it. Okay. So they expected mem allocator found general purpose allocator. So I have to extract the allocator interface from this guy. So I call a function on him called allocator. Like this. Alloc.allocator, like this. We're getting somewhere. No field or function named init in function comp time type. So stood ArrayList init isn't working because stood ArrayList needs to have the type that I'm array listing. Okay, so now he's saying that I created a Huffman table, but I would think now that there's a memory leak because I didn't free my array list, but maybe the array list doesn't allocate until first push of data. So let's say, like I said, like alloc or var table is equal to this, and I say table nodes append, and I can just append a node, but my node is 0 size, which might also be causing problems. So can I say like U32 here? And then probably here, I'm supposed to do something like type of Huffman table nodes or something? Like, is that how I'm supposed to make sure that, like, if I change the type here, the allocator, this init function, resolves the type correctly? I usually do const alloc use GPA allocator, defer the D init of the allocator, which triggers leak checks. Ah, I see. So here, if I were to do like defer alloc, so here I call this general purpose allocator, and then I say var alloc is equal to gpa.allocator, because technically this is an allocator, but he's not like the allocator interface. So I have to extract the interface here. Then I can use the interface, and I can say defer alloc dot defer GPA D init. And you're kind of saying, if I do this, then he's going to bitch about leaking. But value type ignored. What does this D init return? Why does he have... Oh, returns check.leak if there were leaks, checks.ok otherwise. Ah, okay. Okay. So I want to do something like check for leaks or log leaks or something, probably, and then like do something like function log leaks takes in a stood heap g general purpose allocator check or something. Where does this check come in? Assert GPA DNet is equal to OK is common. Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, because I could just crash. But say I wanted to log it. Let's just say that that's what I wanted to do. So I could do something like, hey, this is what I got back. And I'd say that I maybe cannot fail. Seems kind of reasonable. And then I'll just say, if check... Do I put brackets in this language? Or parentheses? Maybe. So you're kind of saying I can do it kind of like this. If check is equal to OK. Oh my god, that fucking auto format. Let G, zig. Oh god. There. Oh, that's got to go in the vim config. If check is equal to dot OK, then I return. Otherwise, I start logging stuff. So I'll say print leak did not free all memory. Can I get like diagnostics on what was not freed? Like, what is this thing? This is just a enum, so probably not from here. But here he says if blah 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 else false self-detect leaks. Enum from int from bool. So does detect leaks log? Oh, he does. Okay, so I don't fucking care. It will log on its own. So I just don't need to do any of this. So the only thing I need to do is make sure that I remember to... I can just like discard I can discard the return, which is like whether or not he had leaks or not, because he'll log and I'll see it. Okay, close. Huffman table has no member nodes. Why? Does this not have... Zig. I guess I just do a type alias is probably what I do. So here I do like const node array is equal to std array list u32, right? And then here I can say that my nodes are a node array. And then I can use that word here. And then I only have to change the type in one spot. Okay. And he's not logging anything, but you could maybe imagine that the initializer of the node array list doesn't actually do an allocation until I put some data. Right? We could maybe assume that. So you could say like table nodes append 5. And now do we get errors ignored? Fuck off. So I guess they instead of like crashing on every time an allocation fails, they're kind of saying like, hey, you can't always fucking allocate and you can just handle that, which is I think like a more reasonable choice. And yeah, now we have some leaks. So now I should be able to say, if I defer after creating the table dinit, which means that here I need to have some sort of dinit function which takes in self as a pointer to self, probably. I guess we can kind of see what the internals do. We can say like self. Surely the node array function will have some sort of like dinit function. So he takes in self by value, which is kind of surprising to me. I would expect it to take it in by pointer. But you know, we'll follow what they do. Undeclared parameter self. So here I can just say Huffman table. And now my leaks go away because we have successfully deferred deinitialization. Cool. Okay, so now what do I want to do? We should actually probably try to like do something, right? So let's start trying to look at how would we like generate a Huffman table, and I think in the Wikipedia page they just tell us how to do it. The simplest construction algorithm uses a priority queue where the node with the lowest probability is given the highest priority. So we create a leaf node for each symbol added to the queue. While there's more than one node in the queue, we remove 2 nodes with the highest priority, lowest probability from the queue. Create a new internal node with these nodes as children. Add the new node to the queue. So I think that what they're saying is like you have, say we go back to that case where we have like the string like A, B, B, C, C, right? This is a fuck. You would like count the character frequencies in here, and you would kind of say that like A has a frequency of like whatever 3, 6, 7, 8. So there's like 8 counts of A, and then B has 2, and C has 2. So they're kind of saying like you stick this in a queue, and you say like, hey, let's take the 2 characters with like the smallest priority, and we can like, or yeah, which 2 of these are like the least probable, and we can like put those in a node. So you can say like, here's our node, and he has B here and C here, and then you say, hey, this node has like a probability of like a count of 4 now, right? Because like there was 2 B's and 2 C's. So then you put this node back in the queue, and so you have like A is 8. And BC node is 4. And so then you pop the 2 of these and you create a new node, and you say like A goes here, and then our like other node that we just created goes over here. Is kind of, I think, what they're saying. Which kind of means that our like Huffman node thing probably needs like a count in here, and we'll make him like a U32 or something. And then he also needs like a left, which is going to be an index into our array list, and a right. Which is kind of why I said like the U size, is that a valid keyword in this language? U32, U64. That's kind of why I said like the Rust brainworm is in my head here, because like I think that if I were like in my like C++ era, I probably would have made these pointers to nodes and then allocated nodes as we went. But here, by like making them indexes, then I can store them all in like one array, and I don't have to worry about like what if the array resizes, and I don't have to worry about like allocating each node individually. I can just like shove them into the array and deallocate them. But in Zig, maybe what makes sense is you give him like an allocator that's like an arena, and then you can just like allocate as you want, store pointers, and those allocations all kind of fold into one allocation anyways. But whatever, I'll do it this way because it's how I'm comfortable. Okay. So when we initialize our Huffman table, maybe it makes sense to take in like character frequencies here. So I guess before we do anything, we should probably count frequencies of characters in a string. I guess. So let's like say like count car frequencies. Funny side note on compression algorithms: the upstream XZ library has been backdoored. What does that even mean? Like XZ having a backdoor in it would mean that when you decompress data, you like inject some code or something from someone? Or are you saying that there's like an exploit where the upstream XZ library has some sort of like use after free or invalid memory access, and that results in being able to like craft a funny XZ packet? It's apparently supposed to do backdoor SSHD. I don't even know what that means. Also, I think that in this language, they don't use snake case. I think they say like count car frequencies like this for functions. And so they made a test blob and modified the build process that it unpacks the test blob and includes that in the build. So the build is linked with user bin SSHD. It hooks OpenSSL's RSA functions and replaces it with a backdoor version. What the fuck? Who's they? Like the authors of XZ? You've piqued my interest. That's as XZ utils on GitHub. So their build process just has a binary blob in it? That's crazy. Looks like a multi-year effort to gain maintainership and insert backdoors. That's fucked. That's pretty funny. I mean, I guess maybe funny isn't the right word, but it's like it's a good you know, people say like open source code makes it more secure, and I guess like sure, like based off of the alternative of it just being closed source code, it like you could have more eyeballs on it, but this is like pretty good evidence that like you can't rely on that. That's pretty funny. Backdoor was encrypted with RC4 algorithm implemented an awk that decodes it during the build. Like, how does that get in without anybody noticing? That's interesting. How, like, I don't really care about like what it does. I'm more curious about like how does that even get in? Malicious changes were submitted by this guy, one of the two main with. Is there like a link to updates and fixes can be found here, here, and here. Profile. So this itself doesn't look sketchy, really. Using attribute on the iFunc resolver. The original files were generated with random local to my machine. So that's probably where it's like a big problem, right? Because like this. Oh, so they're kind of maybe this no profile thing. Ah, I see. So you're get easier hooking of functions even in ASLR. I see. Yeah. So this is where the problem comes in. And so it's when they're claiming that it's a unit test of some form, and when the test is run in the build process and like hooks itself in or something. Interesting. That's pretty clever. Pretty neat. That is, whoever said fun aside, you were right. That is a fun aside. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, it unpacks a .o that gets linked in the file liblzn. Also, that's tricky. Little tricky guy. Tricky guy. Okay, so this guy, we want to count character frequencies. So we're going to take in a string, probably. What is like a zig string? It was only really detected because it turns out to be bad code and made SSH slow. That's so wild. Dude, that's scary. And so, like, what does it do? It, like, when you run XZ, how does it... Oh, it's linked with SSHD. Oh, that's so fucked. Guys have been patching libarchive for you as well. That's crazy. What is, like, the zig string type? I'm sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth. I think I read somewhere that it's, like, essentially, like, a const U8? No, but like, what is the zig string type? Next OS user save because we don't have user bin LMAO. But wouldn't we still? We would still compile XZ and link it against SSHD, right? I would imagine that it would still be relevant. Okay, so we have string. Oh, I can just make a string and check the type of it, I guess. It's actually not normally linked against SSHD. Oh, okay. I can see that. Okay. Okay, so say I have a string. Can I, like, print the type of the string? So std debug print type of S is S. And then we say, hey, can we put in the type of S? Like, is this something that I can do to see what I'm working with here? No, I can't format types that way, but can I format them with the default formatter and get something interesting? So it's a constant pointer to a slice of U8s 4 bytes long, but also terminated by a null. If I remember this correctly. I think I saw something about like sentinel values in zig slices, so you can say, hey, I'm gonna put in this thing that acts as like the final character, and if you see that, like pretend that it ended at that point or something. There was a final runtime check before it hijacked the RSA decrypt function to see if it was argv0 was user bin SSHD. I see. 4-0 is a null terminated array, but it doesn't have to be null terminated, right? Like the 4 also, it's like both 4 terminated, like length of 4 and null terminated, if I understand correctly. So I should be able to take in. So if I'm trying to like make a function that works on a string, frequencies, I take in a string of like n null terminated U8. How do I do like a generic function like this? Because I don't know how many const U8 is usually. Oh, so if I do this, he doesn't need to care about. He doesn't know how long it is, but that's okay. Because the length field of this string will tell me, like will tell me the length of it, I think. So I can do something like, 4 S? Then I like get the character out of it or something? I can't remember. This language has like funny syntax. Const U8 is already a pointer type fat pointer. Oh, so I don't have to take a pointer here. I just say like this. But he's saying that, it goes on this side. I see. So here I'm getting a slice of constant bytes. And this is a fat pointer that points to, this points to some data and a length, like Rust slices. And so here I should, let's just say for now, let's print out the characters. Because this will give me a clue on if I have any fucking idea what I'm doing. And then at the end of this, I can print a new line. And I guess I think if I remember correctly, I still need to pass in this like empty format list. Because there aren't like variadic functions in this language, if I remember correctly. If I well, I shouldn't say remember, if I understood what I read correctly. So if I now call count car frequencies on ASDF, this should just print out ASDF with a new line. And he did not do that. He printed out some fucking garbage. So that's kind of fun. I have to do C for chars, but shouldn't it automatically... Oh, right, because this is printing out each character as its ASCII number. So here I have to say, hey, could you please actually print that as a letter? Okay, so it's not printing garbage, it was just printing... It wasn't like invalid memory. That's my bank account number? Oh, shit! Okay. So now what we should be able to do is we should be able to like return some sort of structure that is like a key value of characters to their counts, which sounds a lot like a hash map, except you don't really need a hash map. You could return an array with 255 elements because you know that there's like a maximum thing. So hashing things every time, hashing the characters every time seems like kind of wasteful and silly. So maybe we return a 255 sized U64 array or something. And we like zero initialize the whole thing. Zero initialize array in Zig. How do I do that? Because I think... oh, I just memset, of course. Of course! That makes sense. Or use std mem zeros. Declaration not found. Zeros. Std mem. Does that not exist anymore? That wouldn't surprise me. Mem. Zeros. Oh, okay. Oh, I just spelled zeros wrong. There's an E in zeros. Really? There's an E? No way. The plural of zero can be either zeros or zeros. Both are correct. Is one of them like American and the other one's like the rest of the fucking world? Because I know, like, is it like the same as like color and color, where one of them has a U? American English versus British English. Yeah, okay. So let's say that we have some return value. Var ret is equal to... I wonder if I have to specify the type here, or if it will like figure it out itself. Okay, so I have to pass in the type here. Zig users are encouraged to explicitly initialize all fields of struct rather than using this function. Okay, but then if that's true, this isn't like a structure. This reminds me of you Googling effect versus effect in your terminal series twice and still getting it wrong. But I forget it every fucking time. I have to Google it every time. I'm never gonna remember. This guy's saying var r equals std mem zeros t, where t is what? Like the full array? Because it looks like this guy probably just like memsets the whole thing, right? Yeah, okay, so I say, here is my return type, and could you give me a zeroed out thing of that return type? Which probably means that this guy just, like, oh, okay, so he switches on the type, and if it's an array, he zeroes, okay, sure. Sure, okay, that seems reasonable. So here I do, like, I don't like having to, like, duplicate this return type here. Like, it would be nice to be able to infer it. But I guess maybe it makes sense to say like we'll define the type here. So we'll say like car frequency is equal to this, and then we don't have to that. Then we say car frequencies do var ret, then the type is equal to undefined. But if I make it undefined, then I have to zero out each one manually, right? Because if I'm gonna if I'm gonna like make my loop start incrementing them automatically, saying undefined is like I'm gonna be starting from a point, right? Because what I'm gonna be end up doing here is I want to say like ret c plus equals 1, right? This is what I want to do. So I think I do need to zero it out. Okay, sure. So here, now let's say like, what do I want to do now? I want to print them, probably. So, frequency freaks is going to be, I don't want to take it by value. I want to take a pointer to it. So I want to say like this, I think. And then I want to go like for 0 to freaks len, take the index, and then stood debug print the index followed by the count. And so here I pass in maybe like I and freaks I. Except this now needs to, yeah, I think that's fine. So then if I count character frequencies, I should be able to say like var freaks is equal to this. Maybe I can even say const. Is const like unmodifiable or compile time constant? I guess we'll find out. I guess we won't find out because this could be a compile time constant, but that's fine, whatever. Print car frequencies freaks. Okay. So zig build run. He expected this, found that, so I need to say, hey, take a reference to that, please. Okay. And so now I have A, S, D, and F all have 1. Okay. So maybe we'll skip. We'll say if freaks I is equal to 0. We skip it. That way we don't have like, yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. And so now if I say like A, I have 6 A's and then 1 of everything else. Okay, cool. Cool. So we've constructed our frequencies. And so now probably when I create my Huffman table, I want to pass in my character frequencies. Right? Maybe? And again, like it doesn't make sense to pass this in by value when I could pass it in by reference. Sure. And then do I have to mark them as unused for this to compile? How do I like, do I have to do like this or something to like say, hey, could you please just like ignore that pass-in variable? Seems like it. So now I have to generate my frequencies here. Then I pass them in to my Huffman table initializer. Cool. And then I can do something with them, which is going to be like generating my nodes. So this is probably going to be doing the work of that, like this guy. So we can say like, how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? So we need to convert each frequency into a node. I guess. Yeah. So I guess we could have no children here, and we could also have like some data. So I guess our node isn't really going to be like a raw structure, but maybe some sort of like tagged enum. So I think they have like union enum is what I think I saw here. So they're saying like, hey, I'm gonna create a union that is tagged by some enum, and you could define the enum externally, but you don't have to. So here I can say like, if my node is a leaf node, leaf, uppercase or lowercase? Uppercase? Sure. If it is a leaf node, then it is all it has is a single U8 associated with him, which is like the value of the thing. And if he is a non-leaf node, which is called, there must be a word for non-leaf node, but I will call it normal. That's certainly not it. Regular? What is like name for non-leaf node in tree? Am I like fucking stupid? Branch node? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll call it that. That sounds reasonable. Branch. And this is going to have, like, this stuff, right? Count, left, and right. Count? Is count what I want? No, just left and right. I guess both of these guys need to contain their count. So maybe we'll call this like node data, and then we have like const node is a struct that has his like count as a U64 as well as his data, which is a node data. That sounds reasonable. So then my node array is going to have a bunch of nodes in it. And when I initialize these guys, I'm going to have to construct my node array based off the nodes. Okay. So what do I do now? I turn all of my frequencies into nodes, put them in, and then start trying to like turn them into a tree, I guess. This count field probably won't make sense at the end. We're probably going to want to strip this out later, right? So this is actually kind of more like, maybe it makes more sense for this to be called a node here. And this could be like a node builder. Ah, fuck it. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. We'll just keep the count in forever and then deal with it at the end. You could namespace node data under node as a nested struct. Oh, interesting. Like this. That does feel more Ziggy based off of the small amounts of code I've seen so far. Sure. Node equals struct const data equals struct. Oh, yeah. You're saying that, like, yeah, I can see that. I can see it. Okay, so let's start by we convert all of our frequencies into the leaf nodes. So, okay. So we start with var nodes is equal to our node array. Then we start by saying for I in 0 to freaks len, we take the index and we say nodes append a node that has the count of freaks I Uh-huh. And data is going to be data leaf I? Like, is that how this works? This syntax has got to be like totally fucked. Like this is fucked in all sorts of ways. So this is node data leaf I. Okay. Okay. Does that compile? No, of course not. Why would it? Tag type is not a function. So how do I construct zig construct union or zig.guide? Zig.guide. I think I saw on here somewhere language unions. Ah, okay, I see. So this is a node data leaf equals I, like this. Close. Expected type U8 found U size. Right, because this is the value of the thing. Can I just, like, I know that the frequency length should be less than 255, so can I just cast this to a U8? How do you cast in Zig? Int cast. Int cast. So this is built-in functions. I see. So this will derive the return type and probably fail in like safe mode if it doesn't work. Attempting to invert number results in safety protected undefined behavior. Right. So in debug mode it'll crash, and in release mode it'll just like fucking do whatever. Okay, error is ignored, right? Because nodes append can fail, which means that this generation of the Huffman table can fail. Which means that here I type try, and then down here I have to try this as well. We're starting to get it. We fail with something leaked. Why is something leaking? Because we are not assigning this nodes equals nodes like this. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting somewhere. We've used the language a little bit. Like a very small amount. Okay. So now we need to do something like figure out the indices and the counts of all of the nodes, which kind of makes it seem like the count shouldn't be stored in the node, actually. The count is like an external thing only used for building of the node array. So maybe we have something like var const node counted frequency counted node. He's going to be this stuff, which means that he's going to have a count and a node, and the node is not going to be the node. It's going to be an index into the node array. Here we go. We're getting somewhere for sure. Which means that this node now is just this like union directly. Yeah. Okay. Yes. It's all coming together. And this has to be equal to struct. And then I use this frequency counted node in my priority queue. But yes. And then you guys are saying that I can do something like infer the type for this like leaf thing like this or something. Oh my god. Please just let me run. Data equals dot thing leaf int cast I. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay. So now somebody earlier said that there's like a priority queue in the standard library. I know it's early days for Zig, but what do you feel like? What are your impressions so far? So based off of what I've read, I really like. It seems very cool. Like the way that they use like the allocators. Where did I see? Was it Zig Guide? Where was this? When I looked at their allocator section here, I was like, damn, that's fucking sick. I think it was here. Where you have like the ability for your vectors to use like a heap allocator or an arena allocator or like a stack allocator, and that's just all like built in, and you can do things like you can batch your allocations and deallocations. Like that seems like probably where this language shines, would be my guess. It feels like so far, I mean very early. I've written what, like an hour of Zig really poorly. I've written like 4 functions. But the generic types feel good. Like I like the idea of types as values and like the generic behavior that allows. And the allocation stuff seems pretty cool. But we'll see. We will see. I don't know how I'm going to end up feeling about like the lack of destructors and like the leaning on defer. I can see that becoming a problem, but if it does, like the use of defer feels better than the go-to pattern that you would have to use in C, probably. But we'll see. I'm struggling to do anything at all, so let's not get ahead of ourselves by evaluating the language yet. Comp time is great as well, says the Reg. Yeah, comp time sounds. I really, really, really like the idea of comp time. Like the idea of being able to force things to happen at compile time, but using the same language is just like, of course, that's what I want. And it's like kind of surprising that other languages don't do it that way. I would love comp time in Rust. I think they do have like const functions, but they're pretty limited, if I remember correctly. Okay, what was I trying to do? I'm trying to use their priority queue. So somewhere in here, priority queue, and so you pass in. You have type, context. I don't know what context is yet, and compare function, which takes in the context. So context is like going to be my frequency thing. No, T is going to be my frequency thing. I don't know what context is yet. Priority queue for storing generic data. Initialize with init. Provide compare function that returns order. Less than when the second argument should get popped before its third argument. Order EQ if the arguments are equal priority. Order greater than if the third argument should be popped first. Okay. For example, to make pop return the smallest number, provide function less than context void a t b t order context blah blah return math order a b. Okay, cool. Where is their init function? So what is the context for? Oh, I guess this is like the same reason that you provide void pointers to stuff in C. They're kind of saying like your function is going to take some context that is not the type itself. Maybe. In our case, we only need to use the stuff in the type. So I think that we're chilling. So you could do this as you could pass in only the indexes and then have the counts counted externally in some like tracking structure that you would provide the context, but I'm not doing it that way. So we're chilling. Okay. So we need to make our queue is going to be stood priority queue, where I pass in the type or init. Or no, here I need to pass in the parameters probably. So I need the type, the context type. So the type is freak counted node. The context type is void. I don't need it. And my compare function is going to be... Is there like... Oh yeah, nice. They do just have the fucking less than and greater than. So... less than... I need to provide some... I need to create my own function. So here I want to say like function... I I guess I do it here. Function freak counted node order or something priority. And he takes in a context, which is void. And then A, which is a freak counted node, and B, which is a freak counted node. It's interesting that the comparison function takes in by value and not by reference. I would actually kind of expect it to take in by reference. But I guess they're kind of assuming that the stuff you store in the queue is cheap. Or if you wanted it to be like passed by reference, you would store pointers in the queue and have to manage that externally yourself. Which you could do with like a stack allocator or something. Pretty interesting, pretty interesting. Okay. But we'll take by value for now. I don't really give a shit. Here. Value because compare doesn't modify the values. But doesn't that like take copy cost? Like wouldn't this be better? I mean, I guess not in the case where your things are integers. In that case, you wouldn't want that. But I would just expect like the option, I guess. Okay. Freak counted node priority here. Function type cannot have a name. You can write your own compare though, but your own compare is limited by the type that you're storing in the priority queue. That's the only reason that I'm like, it doesn't matter here, but function type cannot have a name. Oh, okay, so I get you. This guy's saying that I need to do it at the top level, which kind of means that this stuff, I guess I do it here. And then here I can say freak counted node dot like this, and then here I probably need to return a ordering. But now he thinks that freak counted node doesn't exist yet. Why? Why is that not working? So here he's saying undeclared identifier. I don't understand. Let's take all of this stuff out of here for now, and we can kind of try to figure it out as we go. For non-top level struct decals, you need to use at this. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Undeclared identifier ordering. So ordering must be some form. Oh, it's order, and this comes from stud math. And then here I return stud math order and A count, B count. Okay. And context now needs to be flagged as unused. Okay. So now here, for each node that I push in, I also say try queue, append, insert, push, add. You can use underscore as the variable name in the signature to discard as well. That makes sense. So here I want to add a freak counted node, and the count is going to start at the frequency. So this is going to be freaks I, and this probably has to be int cast, because I think that I don't know if these counts are the same type. U64, they are. So no incast, no incast. And this is supposed to be not like this. It's dot count and it equals. And this is node is going to equal I. So this is the node that it points to in this node array. Okay, so now I need to start popping things off the queue until my queue size is 1. So while queue len, no, surely not, right? Surely that's like some, I could do remove, which, oh, but this doesn't return an optional. Surprising. So does this crash if the thing doesn't exist? Remove index, assert that the length is greater than the index. Nice. Remove or null. Ah, yeah, so I can say, while I remove or null two things, but it does seem like that they do just have like a len field on here. I return the number of elements. That's what I want. So while queue count is greater than 1, I want to pop two things from the queue. So we say what, like left is equal to queue remove. Yeah, and var right is queue remove. And then left and right both have the node IDs, so then I can construct a new branch node. So I can say nodes append. A anonymous structure that will be coerced into the node type with branch equal to another anonymous structure that will be coerced. And this branch will have left is equal to left and right is equal to right. For now, I'm going to make left and right usizes just to simplify. My brain is like, it's fucking imploding with so much like information right now, so I don't want to deal with like type coercions at the same time. Okay, so now I say, now my nodes have this left and right, and then I now push in a new node to the queue. And so this has to be try because this might fail, right? And now I need to get the index that I just pushed. So I'll say like new node index is equal to nodes len at this point, except probably len is it. I don't know if this is the right thing. For what it's worth, ints will automatically coerce if they can fit. Oh, that's sick. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I like the if they can fit. The focus on like safety on crashing, safety off doing the fast thing. I kind of like that split, and so like the idea that just like automatic coercion will happen if it can is pretty sick. Okay, so now I need to push a thing back into the queue. So I say try queue add freak counted node, and the node is the new node IDX. Yep. And the count is going to be the sum of the two counts of from left and right. So left count plus right count, which kind of means that here left and right aren't valid here. This should be left node and right node. Yeah. And then there's like the case where queue count will now be 1 at the end of this. So now I can just say that the tree is equal to queue remove root. And so now my Huffman structure, he's got like the nodes as well as the root, which is just a usize. And so root is the node. And then I say root is equal to root. Right? I guess technically the root will probably always be the last thing in there as well. Right? I think that like I'm almost positive that we always have to add a node at the end, and so the root is going to be the last thing that we added. So technically, we probably don't have to do this, but fuck it, whatever. Maybe assert queue count is equal to 0. Yeah, there's a couple assertions we do. Like assert, is assert a built-in keyword? How does assert work in Zig? Assert. Stood debug assert. Okay, sure. So std debug assert, and we can assert that one, that the root is equal to nodes len minus 1. And we can also assert that the q count is equal to 0. And I want to check also the like node list, the array list API. Am I supposed to be using len directly like that, or what? Like, is there like a count thing on here? Function count len items.len. So, but am I supposed to use that directly? Items. What is items? Items is a slice. Ah. So that's like kind of part of the... Is the slice part of like the public API? Can you have private struct fields in this language? Items.len is the way. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just so... I guess, like... I guess it's kind of C, like... Every field is public. It is kind of C like that way, where you have structures, and they're just like... Do what you want, but fuck you if you break our constraints. Right? So if I were to just take the capacity and modify it, that's something that I'm like allowed to do by the language, but I shouldn't do. Oh, it says right here, contents of this list of fields is intended to be accessed directly. Sure. Okay. I'm okay with that. Okay. And then at the end of this, I also need to delete the queue. Why does the queue not have an allocator? Oh, because I just didn't init it. Because I'm an idiot. Const. So this is like a freak, the node queue. And then here, I actually have to make the queue by saying node queue.init with the allocator. Aha! And void. We're close. Void. Expected type void found type. So here, do I need to like coerce into void by passing a value that will coerce or something? Nice, okay. And then new node IDX is going to be like... What line was that? That was at line like 46. This is nodes items dot like this. Okay. So the assertions didn't get hit. I don't know if we're actually running this code, so let's just see, like, if I say, like, don't do that subtract by 1, we should crash now. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we hit the assertion, I think. Maybe. The following command terminated unexpectedly. It doesn't... Is it not saying where the fucking panic goes? Oh, thread reached unreachable code. Ah, okay, then we have the backtrace here. And it's assertion. Okay, cool. It's common in Zig to have lists and list unmanaged types where the unmanaged doesn't have an allocator field. Pro tip, when you write an assert, you should put a comment on the same line. Yeah, I could see that. In C++ and C, I've seen the pattern of doing an and with a string, because it will always have an address, but then the string gets printed in the assertion. But if I put a comment on here, since the comment is printed alongside the code, then that's like effectively doing the same thing. Okay, so I'm leaking memory because I'm not saying defer qd init. Okay, so now theoretically we have some Huffman tree that we can look at. So I guess the next thing to do is like look at the Huffman tree we generated in some way. So maybe we want to do something like walk the tree. So we're going to do like table root. We're going to have like node is table root. And we're going to do something like... I guess we have to store the node path. If we want to walk the whole tree, we want to do some sort of like breadth first walk. Because if we want to print line by line, we have to do it breadth-wise. So we look at the root, and then we look at the left and right, and we print left and right. Is that how I want to do this? Maybe we'll just print the fucking array. That seems nicer. So, because then we can derive what it looks like from that, and then I don't have to worry about like funny walking logic. Okay. So let's start there. Let's start there. Simple. Simple. So can I just say std debug print the thing? Yeah. Sure. And then that means that maybe I want to print the nodes. And then here, I think that I read somewhere that you can like specify a format function for your node. Right, so I could do like something like function format here. So Zig format function. I'm pretty sure I saw that maybe in like the Zig guide. Advanced formatting. Formatting specifiers. I know I saw it somewhere. Look at the dot comments of std format. That's probably where I fucking saw it. I'm pretty sure that I was in this code earlier. Zig standard library format. I'm pretty sure I was in here. Yeah. This looks very familiar. So if a formatted user type contains a function of this type with question mark being the value being the type formatted, this function will be called instead of the default implementation. So I can just take this, slap it in here. Yeah, and then value here has to be a node. And then what the fuck are all these things? So surely I have to write into the writer with the value. This format is probably the format string, which is why it's comp time. And then there's options here. So is this like... I guess we can just find out. Std debug print. What is like the format thing? Okay, so he's got lots of complaints. So let's discard some of these guys. Expected tuple or struct argument found const u8. That's probably here. Okay, yep. So why is he complaining about that? Expected tuple or struct argument found. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's because this has to be in these little anonymous tuple formatter. Okay. Now, they're mad because I'm deadlocking because I'm printing when I should be saying writer.write or something. Although I don't really know how it's supposed to know that write has like a field there. So here's where I'm a little confused now. Does this not have to be like an interface function, like argument? Like, how does the compiler know that the print function exists here? Well, because he knows that he's calling format with some writer. But like, how is it valid for me to call .print on this thing? I guess it's like C++ templates where you pass in a T and you just like type stuff on the T, and if the function doesn't exist, then the compiler will be like, I can't fucking do that. Okay. So how come I'm not seeing the format string? Oh, because probably I have to write something in here. So in here, if I wrote like S, am I going to get an S printed everywhere? No. If that function doesn't exist, it'll be a comp time error. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. What's wrong with zlib that you made you rewrite it in Rust? One, nothing. Two, I'm not rewriting it in Rust. But like, I think that it's just good to understand. Well, good by some metric of good. I want to understand how zlib works, and I learn by doing. So if I write a zlib implementation and it works, then that means that I fully fucking understand it, and I want to learn Zig at the same time. So multiple birds, one stone. Kind of like, I want to. What's the word? Morbid saying. You can guard against this with has decal field name. Sure, that makes sense. I mean, I don't really have to guard against it because the compiler will fail either way. But I'm just kind of surprised that that's how it works. Yeah, sorry, I'm tired and read too fast. Oh, no worries. Don't apologize. You're good. I don't care. Okay. So it looks like this format string is probably more like the stuff that goes inside here. I just have to figure out how to get stuff inside here that it will accept. So if I type like any here, am I going to see the word any over and over again? No. Maybe I should just read the fucking documentation. Format. Like, what is printing table node items? Sure, I mean, I'm not worried about that right now. Right now I'm trying to figure out what are the arguments at all. Like, what is this format thing supposed to be is what I'm trying to figure out. So he iterates over the thing. And if he sees this... Oh, you're saying that because I'm not printing table node items, it's not being called? Oh. Oh, no, it is, because I do see, we're seeing this set of commas, which means it's doing something. Like, if I wrote, like, writer.print, and I just was like, if I just wrote node here, I think that it would be fine. Oops. I think that we would see, like, node. And you're saying try compile log format. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So you're kind of saying maybe that I can only resolve this at compile time? Found compile log statement. Oh, it's empty. But why is it empty? That's why I'm so fucking confused. Like, if I write, like, any in here, it's still empty. It's like, what the fuck is it? Like, I don't... It's just nothing. Surely somebody in, like, the Zig documentation has, like, documented what, like, the API of this function is, right? Right? Like... Format. Oh, here. Parameters, format. Renders a format string with args, calling writer's list of bytes. If writer returns an error, blah blah blah, format writer not called again, the format string must be comp down known and may contain placeholders using this format. Argument specifier colon fill alignment with precision. Okay. Oh, now I see. Maybe if I do something like if I say, like, hey, here's, like, a 5 in there. No, still nothing. What is it for? What is it for? Can I put in, like, custom stuff in here? Like, as arguments to the thing? No, he doesn't like that. Argument is the numeric index field name which should be inserted. Specifier is a type-dependent formatting option. Okay, so if I wrote, like, a 0 here, and 0, 0 like this, like, do I get anything? It's still nothing. Still nothing. Okay, so I guess we'll just pretend it's a useless argument, but that's bothering me. It's gonna, we'll fit. I shouldn't get this rabbit holed on the first day. Maybe loop over the items and put them individually. Yeah, I'm not worried about. I understand like what to do next. It's more that I'm just like, what the fuck is this argument? Right? I know that I can log the node here, right? I'll just like here I can just say switch on node, and if I'm a leaf, I can print leaf with some value. So here I'll probably put in the thing, which I think you do like capture, or what is it called? Parameter extraction or something. So here I can say this is the value and I want to write the value in like this or something. Expected expression. Okay, I need to look up the switch format. Zig, switch. Here we go. You're saying that I just got the arrow on the wrong side of the parameter extraction. Be like this. And then a node is going to have some value, and then here I'll just write branch with left and right. This, and then here I'll say v left and v right or something. He doesn't like that I'm switching on nodes. This is supposed to be value, like this. Okay. And no field name node, because this is supposed to be branch. And error is ignored. Ah, so I need to say try value? No. Oh, these have to be try like this. There we go. So we start with all of our leaf nodes from 0 to 255. Oh, interesting. So we should not insert things where the if the count is 0, we just skip it. Yeah. So we say like if freaks I is equal to 0, continue. And then here, instead of the node value being I, it should be the value of the length minus 1. So it's like nodes, items, len minus 1. There we go. And so now we have our leaf nodes of 97, 100, 102, 115. So those are our 4 things. And our root node starts with left 5 and right 0. So this is 0. Oh, I don't like the formatting here. So this guy actually has to be, we need to put him in squiggly braces so it's easy to diagnose where, when we're talking about the item versus like the external thing, I think. No. I changed my mind. It's just hard. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So they're saying at the root, we have A on the right side, and then the previous branch on the left. This branch has 2 and 4, so it's 0, 1, 2, and 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, which has 1 and 3. Hell yeah. So I think it would be nice to render it in some way so that we could like validate that it's correct. I'm trying to think if rendering a tree like this is something that I have enough of an inkling on how to do to just like rip it out. So what? I start at the root, I walk my way down to a level. The level has, right, so I want to draw this, right? Just like something like this. Start root, walk left. Left, I know level and side. So I guess I can derive the position that I need to render to based off of the path, right? I know that like left, left, left is going to be a certain distance away from the root in both y and x. I can calculate both of those. Is it worth doing? Is it worth doing? 15 minutes. I don't think I'll be able to do it in 15 minutes. Let's just instead, we will maybe try a different string. And see where that takes us. So if we have like a bunch of A's, a few D's, and then an S and F should be at the bottom level of the tree. D should be towards the top, and A should be at the very, very tippity top. So this is A, S, D. Oh, wait, hold on. This is A, D, F, and S. Yes. So the root of our thing is right goes to 0, which is A. So we know that the top level is pointing at the A. Great. Now the left is 5. How many things are there? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 is left 4, right 1. So the right 1 is this 100, which is our thing with more, which is good. So 5, 4, which is again the one right before it. So this goes to 2 and 3. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, okay, I'm positive that that's right. Positive that's right. Cool. Which means that we have generated a Huffman table in Zig based off of something. Maybe the last thing I want to do is maybe I want to try doing it based off user input. Maybe. So that means that we have to figure out how to like do argument parsing in Zig. I want to be able to pass in like just a few things to try with. Oh, you know what we could do is we could print out the Huffman code for each value in the table. That shouldn't be too hard. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. So let's say that we start at the root. Right, yeah. So we will start at the path to a thing, and that's going to be a new vector of some form. So we're going to say like array list of usize in it with our allocator. Then at the end of this, we have to defer the path D in it. This is stud.ArrayList. Okay. And now we should be able to do something like while path items len is greater than 0, we're going to do something. And so we're going to say like path pop. So we're going to look at some item. Yep. And we are going to, if the item is a leaf node, we just go up. And okay, hold on. The path is going to be a string, I think. Array list of U8s. Let's do it that way. And so the path is going to be full of either zeros or ones. Those are the Huffman codes. So we're going to start by saying path append 0. We're going to start by walking left. Okay? Makes sense. Now, we look at the whole path and we walk that path to retrieve the current node. So we say maybe we put a function on the Huffman table that's like node from code. And the code is going to be a slice of U8. And he's going to return a node. Right? What's in this node? Yeah. Okay, sure. I think. I'm not really sure. We'll see. And we start at the root. We'll call this node index. We start at the root. And as we walk the path, we adjust our node index. Yeah. So then we say like for code, we take the value and we switch on the value. And if the value is 0, we say node IDX. We try to extract like a branch from our current node index. So first of all, if we have a value from our path, we need to we know that our thing is a branch node. So we need to do something like if we need to like extract the node by looking at self items nodes. Do I have to do the dereference operator, or does it like auto-resolve? Looks like it does auto-resolve. Okay. So here we want to say like switch this thing. And if he is a leaf, we are unreachable. But if he's a branch, we just return the branch. Like this? Is this how you do this in this language? And then we can say that switch on V. If it's 0, we say that our node IDX is equal to node left. And if it's 1, node IDX is node right. And if it's anything else, it's unreachable. I'm not sure if that syntax is right. But let's just try building it and see what happens. So path append 0, error is ignored, so try that. Okay. And then let's try now what? Here at the end of this, we need to return our node, right? So we need to say self nodes node IDX and return that. And why did I do all of this? First of all, this seems like it can't error anymore. Looks like we are only asserting. And then here I wanted to try saying like I guess I just wanted to like print the table node from code 0. right? And just see what that does. Expected expression found something else. So maybe var node is equal to the node from the code like this. And then I just print the node, like expected expression. Oh, because this is supposed to be an array based like this, I think. Found struct comp time int. How do I make like a array literal? My fingers typed Rust. I've just right, so it's this, but I need to put an ampersand in front of it, you're saying? Little zigism. Expected type this, found struct comp time int. No. No, I think that maybe I have to like define this the node code. Change from U8 to const U8. Oh, maybe. I could see that. Okay, and then here, self nodes. Here I need to say nodes items here. Prong only on non-exhaustive enums. Use else, like Chatter said. Okay. This guy does not support indexing, so this is supposed to be items again here. Okay. So now we've printed the root node, which is good. And so now if I say, hey, let's print the thing at 0, 0, that should give me a, maybe 0, 1. Ah, yes, okay. So 0, 1 gave me leaf 100. 0, 0 gives me... so 1 will give me 97. Yep. 0, 1 will give me leaf 100. 0, 0 will give me another branched. Yes. And then 0, 0, 0 will give me one of them, and 0, 0, 1 will give me the next. Yes, okay. So in order to walk the whole thing, I pop an item from the path. I print the thing if it's a leaf node. Okay. So if yeah. Okay. So here I'm going to use the path items slice here as my thing. If my node is a leaf node, I print it. So here I'm going to print the path that I have. It's going to be path items as well as the node. And if I am a branch node, I'm going to do something. I don't know what yet. I guess if I'm a branch node, I will push a 0. Okay. Then after this, I'm going to pop the thing. And then here I just continue probably. So if I hit a leaf node, I'm going to pop. No. If path items. What is there like a last thing? Back. Path last. Get last. If the last thing is equal to 0, I'm going to increment it. Can I get like a mutable reference to the last thing? Can I get like a star T out of it? Insert blah 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 in it. No, I guess I have to use the slice directly. So path items len -1. What is this guy? Var x equal to this. Does this tell me the type? Probably I do something like get a reference to this thing. If x is equal to 0, I increment him. Else I pop him. I'm no longer looking at this path. Yeah. I think that's right. Dereference, and then here, this is equal to, I don't care about him anymore. Discard him. So I think this walks the tree. No, cannot format slice without specifier. So here I write D maybe. Okay, we fucked up. So 1, I want new lines, of course. And it looks like I'm just stuck on 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. I fucked up the walking in some very obvious way. It's something like I still have to walk upwards on branch nodes, obviously. So yeah, it's because here I need to walk down and then back up, which is an obvious thing. Why am I having trouble? So branch. If I'm a branch, I push the thing on the left. But if I've already looked at the thing on the left, I look at the thing on the right, which is this. Otherwise, I have to go up. Dude, there's something so obvious here that my brain's just like not fucking hitting the right spot on right now. I'm so fucking like, I hate it when this happens. It's just so obvious, and I can't get there. So we have 0, 0, 0 is going to a branch. So then the next state has to be 0, 0, 0, 0, which is a leaf. So then I go 0, 0, 0. Then this guy has to go to 0, 1, which is maybe also a leaf. And then when I go up, I have to go up to 0, 0, 1 here. So it's when I print a leaf, I pop and append a 1. Yeah. So here I say, if I'm a leaf, so here I increment. If I'm a leaf and my path ends with 0, I go to 1. Otherwise, I pop and I append 1. Yeah. So here I have to say path path items len minus 1 equals 1. Is that right? Yeah, there we go. And then there's an integer overflow at that minus 1. So I have to say here, if path items len is equal to 0, break. There we go. Fucking hell, that took so long. But that does give us our tree. It shows us where all of the Huffman codes to characters go. And now we should be able to try that with a different string. So we can try this with like the quick brown. Well, we'll try it with something obvious. We'll try A, B, 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 C, 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 D, 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 or something. He doesn't like that. Fuck. God damn it. Oh, because it's just, this is wrong again. Okay, I'm not gonna, my head's not working right. Obviously, this should be simple. Walking this should be, right, like, this is branch, then he has to go up. So it's actually if there's something here about like, if I'm a branch and I'm equal 0, I have to set it to 1, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Pretty sure it's working. And my head's not working right, so gonna call it there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked what you saw, we're streaming most days at around 2 o'clock Pacific time. I'm excited to continue trying to use Zig and continue to try to work with zlib. I think that like we have at least a rudimentary understanding of Huffman tables, which is like the first part of the deflate algorithm. Seems like the next part is probably going to be walking some like binary structure and using the table that we've generated to like convert that back into characters. And there's more. So we'll be back at this probably, I think tomorrow we'll be on, Sunday we'll probably not be, and then Monday we should be back. There's a YouTube link in the Twitch description to where all the VODs will end up eventually, usually like one day after. And they're filtered into playlists. So we've been working on like a bunch of stuff. Right now we're working on zlib and Zig. We've also been working on like a terminal emulator in Rust, like web dev. We've been doing some like we did some operating system stuff, some diff tool, Git GUI stuff, virtual file system. There's lots of stuff. It's like whatever I fucking feel like with a bias towards low level stuff ends up getting done. There's a GitHub link in the Twitch description, which has like all the projects. And if you can't see the links in the Twitch description, which people have been saying, some people are in that state, it's the same username on both YouTube and Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube and you made it this far, you might be interested in swinging by on Twitch if you're online in between the hours of 2 and 4 Pacific time. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!